This category is, of course, Deep Sea Creature Features, which is a real category on Netflix. And the thing that we watched was Jaws.
Insert music.
What did everyone think of a little-known movie, Jaws?
Absolutely terrifying.
Still,
I could not believe that I watched that as a child. Anyone
Absolutely.
else?
Yeah.
I was about 9 when I first saw it, and I'm still traumatized by it, and
Yeah.
it still traumatizes me some 30 odd years later.
for anyone who doesn't know
Why is
Jaws,
everyone
I'm sure someone out there must not know Jaws. It's a 1975 American thriller film directed by Steven Spielberg. Netflix describes it as when an insatiable great white shark terrorizes Amity Island, a police chief, an oceanographer, and a grizzled shark hunter seek to destroy the beast. And it's based on a novel by Peter Benchley from 1974 of the same name.
Do you know, I found out that author's actually in the film. I was really blown away by
No,
that. I
good
know.
fact.
He
Which
made a cameo.
character?
I don't know.
I can
but
tell
I'm
you.
just coming at you with the story there.
He's
Half the story.
a journalist. One of the journalists
there we go.
during one of the scenes. Couldn't tell you which, but he is one of those journalists.
Yeah.
I think I'm right in saying that he was so mortified by what it did to the reputation of sharks that he then devoted a large chunk of the rest of his life to preserving sharks and boosting their image and making them
Wow.
more lovable than he presented them as, because
Oh, really?
Yeah.
everyone hated sharks after that film,
Well, yeah.
and hated the beach.
I couldn't even get into a swimming pool after watching
No,
that
literally.
Running
Walk
a
into the
bath
sea and
was
I'm
terrible.
walking straight back out. Yeah, run a bath. Can't stand in the
Exactly,
shower.
paddling pool, bringing you out in cold
Yeah.
sweats.
For me, it's one of my favourite films, and for me, Robert Shaw's performance is one of the performances of all time. I
Who
just
does Robert
love
Schwartz play?
Robert Schwartz. Robert Schwartz is the bikini-clad first victim.
Yeah, sehr gut.
Amazing.
Robert Shaw, on the other hand, plays Quint, the shark catcher.
And when he was eaten, Quinn, that when he's eaten at the
There
end.
will be spoilers for the 1975 movie Jaws.
I sort of think that's the one thing that's wrong with the film. If I could rewrite it, I would have him survive and go off into the sunset as the grizzled old shark hunter that survives yet again. And in the book, Richard Dreyfuss' character dies.
Oh.
Yeah, he doesn't come back up from the cage. It's not explicit that he dies, but there's just bubbles that slowly fade and then are not seen anymore. And then Roy Schneider goes back to shore, so presumably.
So you've read the book as well?
Yeah, or someone told me that.
One of the two.
Because it had some big words in it.
Would you describe yourself as
Paste
a super fan?
Yeah, I think so. It's such an iconic film. There's so many brilliant moments and brilliant performances.
Yeah,
All
it's
the performances
amazing.
are great, but Robert Shaw really captures my imagination.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be the British Robert Shaw now.
It's
Failing.
working. From where I'm sitting, it's working.
Yeah.
You're more the British Robert Schwartz.
I'm hoping
sadly.
they do a reboot, remake it, and I'm available to be Quinn.
Oh no, imagine the graphics if it was remade. Like, I thought it was terrifying anyway, but my God.
I know,
Well,
it was so
if it-
comforting that like the shark was obviously
Just
steel.
a plastic
Every
thing.
time I heard the like, I was like, thank God, it's not real.
if it was like set in England, though, would it be like, what would it be? So would it just be like a stranded humpback whale in the Thames or something?
Yeah,
You
just
never know.
some kind of extra big tuna terrorizing
Yeah, there you go.
Scarborough.
So obviously that's how amazing Jaws is. Now you guys, all you have to do is top it.
Ooh.
I'm sure you've all been thinking long and hard about ideas that you would introduce into this category on Netflix.
Of course.
Who wants to take us away with an idea first? Why not Becky?
Oh, thought you'd never ask. Right, so I'm going to need you to have an open mind going into this.
Open minds and hearts.
Yes, even though it's the best idea I've ever come up with, of course.
I'm feeling it.
Right, so the title is Love at First Bite.
Oh, yes.
good already.
Already
No,
in.
I was so pleased when I thought of that. I was like, fantastic. Right, so there's a fish living life, just enjoying itself. Just, that's how we start.
Yep.
And then we see him going about her... we see her going about her life, enjoying, when suddenly there's a fishing boat. Oh, dear.
Oh,
I know,
no.
chaos. So all her friends are terrified, but she's intrigued. So she swims up to the boat, and there through the water she sees the face of a fisherman looking straight back at her, and they fall in love.
Oh.
I know. So the story goes that it just follows these two falling in love, the hard times because she is in fact a fish, And yeah, that's how as far as I've got.
How large of a fish is she?
Oh, like little tiny little Nemo kind of fish,
Right,
which
yeah.
makes it even more weird.
Is there any necking?
Oh,
involved?
there's a lot of scenes that
Heavy
you wouldn't want to
petting.
watch in front of your parents.
Wow.
Grizzled fisherman
Bestiality.
getting it on with a little fish.
Flapping
Yes.
gills.
I think it's brave to take the, I would say, quite rote format of like a mermaid falling in love with a sailor and just removing the female human half and just go all fish.
It's all fish.
Yeah,
I
all
like
fish.
it.
She is a
punchy.
mermaid, but the lower half is a fish, and the upper half is also a fish.
Yeah, it's just two
Yeah,
different
so
things.
what it is a
It's a Woody
fish.
Allen thing.
And can the fish speak?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah,
Imagine.
oft.
Who do we think could pull off sexy female fish in voice only?
seen
I
the
mean,
voice,
we're
yeah.
not doing mocap, I assume, on this actor.
No.
We could do.
Scarlett Johansson?
Oh, there we
Well,
go.
obviously, she's a shoo-in for anything.
Exactly. Object.
Email her now, probably.
Yeah.
Oh well, I'll get on a Scarlet.
Who's the fisherman?
Oh,
Do we think? Like, what's the fisherman's vibe? Is he on his own in the boat?
No, there's quite a few people
there's
on
quite a
board,
few.
so it needs to be quite secretive. So, yeah.
Is this a real hunky fisherman? Is it like
I feel like it needs to
are
be.
ladies going to go to this movie because they want to
Because they
see
wanna
that
see the
hunky
fish-
fisherman and pretend they're a fish?
110%. I'm glad you said that. Took the words right out of my mouth.
We need to know a bit more about who he is, I guess.
Yeah.
So, like,
That's
so
the
he's on the
mystery.
boat with all these other. So he's a normal fisherman.
Yes.
Is he married?
Just recently divorced.
Just recently divorced,
Yeah.
right? So he's feeling a bit lonely.
Oh, awful sad. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say some names at you, and I want
Okay.
you to like give me a general temperature on how you feel this person could pull off being in love with a fish.
Great.
So we got Jamie Dornan. That's, I believe,
Definitely,
Mr. Grey
he could,
from
yeah.
50 Shades.
Oh God.
Yeah?
Yeah.
He could pull off
Oh,
romancing a
100%.
fish.
Yeah, but
We
keep
got-
going.
We got Idris Elba. We think not hot on Idris Elba as romantic fish man.
I think he's more into humans.
Yeah.
There's a slight spanner in the works to the Google search for hunkiest men in Hollywood. We've got David Beckham. I didn't choose the
I
results.
mean, that would draw people in, surely.
What do you reckon, Becky?
Can he act?
I'm saying David Beckham just
Yeah?
because I'm interested by that.
I think that is a stunt casting choice that will get people in the door.
Yeah. It's all about, It's all
Considering
about
he's not that good at doing speaking, I'm not sure acting would be within his range of.
Although, if he doesn't say anything the whole movie, that saves a lot on script writing costs.
That's
Oh,
Just
true.
do it all
yeah,
visually.
yeah.
Strong and silent type.
no speaking role for
No speaking.
David
And that way,
Beckham.
he doesn't need to talk to the fish.
Yeah, he just has
It's
to look.
all eye contact.
There we go.
There you go.
What would
Thank
the
you,
press
guys.
junket be like though? For yeah, well, so when I read the script, I thought, that's a sexy fish. The magic sort of disappears a bit.
Yeah, kind of. God's sake.
Oh, well, I don't think we need to go any further than that. I think that's it. I think we're set for David Beckham there.
I can't believe he was on the podcast then. That was amazing.
What's our main fish's name?
I'm thinking a bit of like Scarlet, like you said.
Oh.
Sounds like a quite nice.
So,
name
I
for
mean,
a
it
fish.
saves Scarlett Johansson
Yeah.
actually
even
having to learn a new
even having
name.
a name.
Yeah. There's a lot of effort we
Scarlett.
save by doing that. Yeah.
Do they have fishy babies, and are they like kids row?
Oh.
I mean, fish have a lot of Without getting too grim, there's a lot of eggs involved in fish reproduction. Maybe I'm barking up the wrong
I
tree.
think, I think that's for the sequel, maybe. But yeah, definitely is a
So
thought that I
yeah,
could think
David
about.
Beckham raising like 1,000 kids.
Imagine.
Oh no.
Oh, they're all just following the boat.
Yeah.
Imagine.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
god.
beautiful.
No, that's great.
Actually, do you know what? They could have some babies, and then the Beckham kids could voice them.
Brilliant.
That would be really good. So we
You've
could
done it
go
now.
wild with
Oh.
merchandise on this film.
We could have had Victoria Beckham.
I was going to say that. Yeah,
Exactly.
that's dream casting.
Yeah.
I've already emailed Scarlett though, so I don't know.
Retract.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sure she'll say yes, but just in case
Yeah.
she says
All
no.
right, I'll send out
So it's nice
a
to have a plan B.
I'll send out a bonus email to Victoria. Hello again. Just interrupting for a second to let you know that you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook by searching for You Watched Pod, where you'll find additional content, podcast news, and exciting updates on my quest for the next big thing. That's You Watched Pod on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Next up, Mark, what have you got?
So I'll run you by a couple of ideas that I dismissed, just in case there's anything in them, but I strongly suspect there aren't. The first is a prequel to Jaws called Jaws Truly, about the love that the main shark has for another lady shark, and then she's killed by humans. So at the end, which kind of leads to Jaws, it kind of explains
Why
it is to the Jaws franchise what the musical Wicked is to the Wizard of Oz.
Nice.
If you've seen that.
I love it.
But I thought it was too hard to tell a love story underwater, so...
I mean, no one would ever try and tell any sort of fish-based love stories.
No,
that'd be stupid. Absolutely stupid.
So the next idea I had was Killing Nemo, which is a live-action film where the hero of Finding Nemo has gone rogue, and he's responsible for all the plastic in the ocean. He's dragging as much plastic into the ocean as he can. So Sting has to... Sting's well up for this. I've already run it by him. He has to hunt him down and terminate him with extreme prejudice. It's just kind of a watery apocalypse now.
Yeah, no, they're all good. Let's see what made the cut.
Yeah.
I looked at that and I thought, no, that's shit. So I dismissed that, and this is sort of two ideas into one, but this is the one I'm going for.
Okay.
Working title: Deep Space Diving. So it's a shark terrorizing an underwater colony. But the twist is they're not underwater. They're actually in deep space. But they're all wearing diving gear and wandering about as if it's... Yeah, and what inspired that was remembering the first time I saw Blue Planet with David Attenborough 15 years ago. The experts that were in the deep sea diving bell were going so low under the ocean that they were looking at stuff that looked like spaceships and aliens and not having a clue what they were looking at, even though they were experts, because... the stuff down there is just so weird.
Yeah.
So I wanted something that combined the depths of space with the depths of the ocean.
I like it.
But then that sort of morphed into Star Wars Jaws, which is like
Star Jaws.
Yeah. Like a shark terrorizing... It's basically the same story, but set in space.
Of Star Wars or of Jaws?
Of Jaws.
Oh, okay.
It's the story of Jaws where there's this massive thing terrorizing planet Amityville. And
it's a sci-fi remake of Jaws.
Kind of, yeah.
Nice.
And I've cast Felicity Jones as the Roy Schneider character, Toby Jones as Richard Dreyfuss, because I think they're married and there's a clause in her contract she has to get her hubby involved, and Robert Shaw. I've gone Brian Blessed.
Ooh.
Because for me, the Robert Shaw performance as Quinn is so nuanced and subtle and multi-layered that I think it would be fun to just obliterate all that and have some shouting.
You don't want to do the same thing twice.
No.
So,
and I think Brian Blessed would reinterpret it in a very strong way. I'm not sure, but I think he's good at shouting. That's what I'd like to see.
I've got a question that I think either you might be able to answer, Mark, or anyone else. Everyone is in diving suit, spacesuits. What is the shark in a diving suit? How is this shark milling about up in space?
I think the shark is some kind of ship that contains smaller vehicles.
Oh my goodness gracious me.
Yeah, but it's a kind of warship thing that just, like sharks are like the ultimate killing machine in evolutionary terms. It's the same with the space technology. It's just a thing that destroys whatever's in space.
Well, we got the tagline right there. The ultimate killing machine.
Yeah.
But literally this time. That bit's on the end of the tagline.
Yeah.
Brackets.
Yeah.
And maybe the shark's mouth is open, and the open mouth is glass, and the little people inside controlling the shark look out through the mouth.
I like it.
Yeah.
God.
Peeping out.
And and from the eyes of the shark, that's where they expel the mini spaceships.
Yeah.
That go around.
And the mini spaceships are it's like fractal patterns of just smaller destructive spaceships, and they've got smaller ones inside them. It's a kind of comment on the whole universe. I love it.
So what's the story going to be? So it starts initially as a remake of Jaws. Is it going to go remake all the way through? Are you going to have a little twist? You're going to for returning viewers who are like, I know where this is going. You're going to throw them a little curveball.
It needs that, doesn't it? Yeah.
I think that'd be good if we could come up with one. What do we reckon?
Well, there's a bit of a twist in that you think they're underwater and they're not.
What does that scene play out like? Can you run me through that? I want to picture it. Is this the first scene of the movie?
Yeah.
We fade up from black.
Yeah.
What are we looking at?
There's a beautiful underwater colony where people are going about their business, doing stuff, doing business.
Underwater business.
Like banking. shopping,
Put in pearls.
yeah, trying to find some loose change for the parking meter where they left their submarine. And then one of them says, "Hold on, we're not underwater, we're in space." And then the film starts.
Flawless.
Someone
can't believe
goes,
it
"Oh, it's really
myself."
hard being underwater." What are you talking about? Turns to camera. We're in
You
space.
crazy fool, we're not underwater. Yeah,
Massive zoom
And then
out.
does it zoom out? They're in like a little aquarium in a spaceship or something.
yeah, that
Oh,
would
that's
be good.
good. Yeah.
Nice.
Or on a planet. Are they on another planet? Or are they actually floating around?
They're in deep space,
Yeah.
but I think there are buildings that they can get into. So
Yeah.
there are solid structures that they can get into.
So maybe by this time in space, they have learnt how to like anchor a building so it doesn't
Yeah.
float. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, like a spaceship. I
just
guess.
the one stupid guy that we need to be stupid to tell the audience that it's not underwater. He's forgotten where he lives. There's a tender kind of senile dementia moment early on, and then that's never referred to again.
Perfect. Get the expedition out.
The people in space are listening right now, being like, "They're onto us. They know what's happening." Can imagine that happening. Wow.
So how does it end? Obviously in Jaws, again, spoilers for the 1975 movie Jaws, they put a propane tank or something in its mouth, shoot it and explode the shark.
Yeah, I think Brian Blessed takes Felicity and Toby Jones out into even deeper space to lure it out, and yeah, they end up. Brian Blessed should get eaten, unlike Robert Shaw.
Well, you can right the wrongs that the original
Yeah.
movie made at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Toby Jones, I'm two minds as to whether to let him survive or not. But
Depends how you feel on the day.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, there's two scripts, Toby. If you piss me off, then be careful. But Felicity Jones is the ultimate hero and destroys the shark and then paddles all the way back to deep space without a shark.
Oh, I
hunting
love
her.
that. So humans in space actually go around in canoes.
They could
paddle.
do, yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect. So like a one-person spaceship is a canoe, because that will really add the twist of it being in space.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just film a lot of a film in very close up.
Yeah.
You can just see parts of the boat and paddles. And then finally a wide shot where you're like, "Oh shit, we're in space!"
Perfect.
Credits. That's the final shot of the movie. You think it's just a plain remake of Jaws. Yeah. But at the end you're like, "He was in space all along."
And then cut to an image of Mark's face being like, gotcha.
Hey, how about it?
Yeah, the film reel just burns like in Gremlins 2 and you just go, "Hey, I know you thought this movie was a normal Jaws remake, but gotcha." Georgia,
Hello.
what's your idea?
So my idea actually comes from a friend who's a sensible adult human who has a child who is also a sensible human and collects top trumps cards. And I said that I was staying in on Saturday night watching Jaws, and she thought I was joking. And so she sent me a picture of one of her son's cards, and it was of a giant squid found in the Natural History Museum. And I thought, what better inspiration for this? So the main protagonist of this dystopian future film called Sea Power.
Ooh, sea power.
Yeah, Sea Power is a giant squid. Now, this is kind of a cross between The Shape of Water and Free Willy.
Okay.
So in this future, in 2100, we're
The
using...
Shape of Willy is already presented itself as a title.
So we're using...
So we got the title then. Yeah.
yeah, giant ocean creatures for power. So in this world, they're using like big squid and big fish to generate power in the world. And they're keeping them in the Thames. But in this film, there's a little character called Moss, who's 11, and her mum is one of the scientists behind this new way of creating energy. But it makes Moss really sad, like the boy in Free Willy. So she goes to the Thames and like hangs out with Archie the squid, and like feeds him through the tentacles, and they have chats. And everyone thinks that Archie is this really dangerous animal, but Moss is like, no, I see that Archie has a heart. And there's this keeper of the Thames pond called Sid, who looks after Archie, and he's like of the old world. And he sees Moss having this relationship with the squid and wants to help her set the squid free. But then the electricity company gets wind of it, kills Sid, but then announces to the news that it's
Wow.
Archie.
It's a cover-up.
It's a cover-up, exactly.
Gosh.
I know, this is going very
I mean, you've got to
isn't it?
preserve the giant underwater power-saving status quo.
Exactly.
Otherwise, what's going to happen?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then Moss starts a worldwide revolution
Ooh.
and to try and set all the creatures from the rivers free and eventually wins. And so the Thames barrier opens and Archie goes out into the sea.
Very nice.
Wholesome.
And doesn't take the little boy with him.
Or the little girl.
Sorry,
The little girl Moss.
I mean,
Well,
it's a bit transphobic of you, but yeah.
well, maybe he does. Maybe Archie does.
Yeah.
But I think that maybe she like waves him off on the shore.
Ending scene.
Into the free
Mosh.
world. Maybe he like blobbers over her like in Free Willy with his tentacles, like vaults over her over the Thames barrier.
Yeah.
Oh, you love to see it.
You love to see it.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is a movie.
This is a movie.
That's great. So the world we're in,
Yes.
just to be clear one more time, it's a world where it's dystopian, we're running out of power.
Exactly.
And they're generating power with these deep sea creatures.
Exactly.
How are these creatures generated? Is there like a big hamster wheel or something? Like
So I only did science GCSE. I can't go into the technical details.
let the boffins figure that out.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not for us to say.
Exactly. I can't even tell you how plants photosynthesize, so I'm not going to be able to get that far. But I imagine like little things attached to the creatures. You know, so I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You're somewhat of a scientist, Mark. How do you?
Oh,
reckon?
yeah.
How do you reckon
I
these
did
creatures
religious
could generate
studies
power?
and history A level, so
It's basically science.
yeah, they just plug some stuff in and things happen.
Where do you plug it into?
Just the bits. Plug the bits into the things and just get them to run. A lot.
Along the bottom of the Thames.
yeah.
Just running.
Just keep shouting at them, make power appear.
Yeah.
Well, the Thames is dead long, so if you want them to run, they've got like a long track
Or
to do
blubber.
so.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's a hell of a track. Yeah.
Yeah.
How is Moss meeting up with the squid? Like on South
just
Bank?
going to going to the South Bank,
Oh.
hanging over the Hungerford Bridge.
Right.
Oh
God.
You know,
Does she have really damp green hair?
yes.
Right. Good.
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 That's made you happy, isn't it? Thank God for that.
Trying to make sense of her name. It's quite an unusual
I know.
name.
I was trying to think, what would people in the future be called?
Moss.
Maybe Moss.
Well, yeah, if it's a dystopian future, they're like, there's nothing in this world. Like, I mean, moss.
Yeah, exactly. Leaf,
stone.
twig.
Yeah.
So what's the scene like when Moss meets Archie? Is it like if they're pressed against the glass or?
Yeah. What do you guys think? I think maybe it's like a little stroke of the tentacle.
Becky, if you had to meet a squid, how would you introduce yourself?
Well, you wouldn't know what hand to shake, would you?
Oh, she's not wrong.
I reckon, I'm thinking now, London Eye, there's sea life next to it.
Yeah.
Maybe they could be like, right, we're releasing them all out because we need them for energy. So you just see this
Great.
massive scene of them all just flopping out into the
Yeah,
Thames.
Well, that's the great opening sequence where you've got the news footage setting up the world, and you've got people going like, it was today that we released all the wildlife into the... You
fish
see
just
them all
slaps the
flopping
woman.
in.
And next door on the South Bank, next door to the aquarium, is the London Dungeon. So maybe accidentally someone who's playing Jack the Ripper,
They accidentally released Jack the Ripper into the
he gets
Thames.
plopped into the Thames and
Yeah.
he's stuck on some treadmill as well.
Perfect. And then next to that,
But at the end of the movie, they leave him there.
Yeah, he's
It's like,
still
no,
there.
you don't get to go anywhere,
Pedaling
Jack.
away.
Yeah.
Can I come out there? No, get back in there. We need power. The squid's fucked off. You're our only hope.
Yeah, exactly. Look, we free the animals, but we still need the power. You very much need the power, otherwise we'll all
Yeah.
die. So, Jack, you're staying in there.
next to London Dungeon, you've
Yeah.
got Shrek's Adventure as well. So
Oh, no.
He'd be great. He'd be better than Jack the Ripper.
here he comes.
Jack
Oh,
the Ripper's some
bloody hell.
5-foot actor that's only ever been in the bill once, whereas the guy that
Hey,
plays
this is
Shrek
really risky,
massive.
Mark. For all you know, tomorrow.
Could be me.
Just see the news and be like, for God's sake.
No, I auditioned
I actually
to be
meant
Jack
me,
the
but
Ripper and they didn't,
yeah,
they didn't
turn me
take
down.
Oh, God.
me. Would not take me.
I was once actually turned down to be a Christmas elf in a shop. That's low, isn't
Oh.
Well, not low enough, maybe.
it? Yeah.
I'm here all night. What was their reasons for turning you down?
Not elfy enough.
Elfie.
Not elfy. Need to eat more elf food.
Exactly.
Tap a piece of paper and it's like, you see your score here?
Yeah, exactly. And I even went with like a nod to the character, which is really humiliating, wearing green and red. A little hat.
Oh, that's dedicated.
You really,
Bells
you
on
really
your shoes
committed.
and that.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
our entries for the category on Netflix, Deep Sea Creature Feature. Mark's idea, which is either called Deep Space Diving or Star Jaws, depending on where we want to go with it. What do we think? Does it feature a deep sea creature?
Yes,
Yeah.
certainly.
I think it features
And
a
it's
deep
a
sea
twist
creature.
as well, which
Yeah,
I like.
I like
It's got a
it.
great twist.
Yeah.
The important thing is that
Hell of a
it's
twist.
that while it may technically not fit in the category,
It does until the end.
For 98.5% of the runtime, it does.
Exactly.
Yes.
And then it very briefly doesn't, and then it's Mark in a chair. So that could be underwater and no one knows.
Actually, that would be good. You in a scuba suit.
And I can see Mark in a chair being a whole subcategory on Netflix.
Yeah.
Lovely how you refer to
Just that one
yourself as
film.
Mark.
Well, if it cuts to you and you're in the scuba suit underwater at the end, it can then be revealed that actually you were also in space. Just
And
to
it zooms out
just to
again.
double dip on the twist.
Yeah.
And you're in
In
like
case
a-
someone missed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then if there's still any doubt, I'll come round.
The film will
I'll come
burn
round
down
your house
again,
and
and you
explain.
come out again and go, look, I made this really clear. We're in space.
I thought it was clear. I'll go through it one more time.
I think Star Jaws is getting my vote, actually.
Okay.
I think,
Well,
yeah.
before we act too hastily, Becky's
too
idea,
clean.
love at first bite, deep sea creature features. How do we think this fits into the category?
Perfectly.
Yeah.
Snugly?
It's all right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think the stunt casting of Victoria and David Beckham makes it a box office surefire hit.
Phenomenon.
Think of the branding, that all the merch.
It's the Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but it's Mr. and Mrs. Fish.
Oh, that's so good.
Good.
But that won't be the tagline. But unless it is.
Yeah.
You're like, but maybe, but no, but maybe. But if it was.
But what if it was? Okay.
But we're in space still.
and everybody burns
I
down
appear-
and we're in space.
Can I appear at the end of my
Of
pants?
course you can. In fact, I was going to ask.
I'm still explaining my film. That's never been made.
Look, I know this is a different film, but I've got it on good authority. A lot of you didn't get it in mine.
Got a bee in my bonnet. I've got to air this.
And finally, George's idea, deep sea power. Sorry, I've lost it. George's idea, sea power. How does that fit into the category deep sea creature features?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and it's an unusual choice of creature to carry a film, which is nice.
Well, what I like is you've got a whole variety of deep sea creatures because
Yeah,
they've dredged up the whole lot, right?
It's very
Oh,
inclusive.
They're all in the Thames going for it.
Very inclusive,
Inclusive,
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly, all the fish you could ask for.
it's diversity for marine life.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
And you've got, a Shrek as well.
Shrek's chucked in there for reasons that no one can quite remember.
Okay, so where are our votes going? What do we think should be the one I pitch?
Oh, it's got to be Star Jaws for me.
100%. Yeah.
Star
Star
Jaws?
Jaws or what was it called as well? There was two names.
It was either deep space diving,
That's the one.
which I think gives away the twist.
It does.
But then again, so does Star Jaws.
Does it? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Does
Oh,
it?
yeah.
Could it be like written in magic ink or something? So like you hold up a
Braille.
flame to the poster and it reveals the space bit.
Yeah. And there's another bit of the poster where if you put the magic ink over there, it's just me in my pants.
Perfect. Okay,
I'm
great.
So chuffed. Thank you very much.
So well done, Mark. Star Jaws or Jaws, but this time in space in very small font.
Just Jaws.
Is the winner.
Just Jaws.
I will start getting the pieces together to make
Great.
this a reality.
Amazing.
I've got a good feeling.
I've got a great feeling as well. Thanks everyone for joining us.
This is
Thank
when we
you.
announce that we actually are in space as well.
Yeah.
The podcast has
Surprise.
been in space.
The
Mark, take it away.
What am I wearing?
This episode of Because You Watch featured Georgia Maguire, Becky James, Mark Davison, and me, Rory Binks. It was produced by Joe Grace and Martin Trickey.